action number 6, which is that the person that distributes their zakat, they should focus their distribution on very particular types of people within the 8 categories of zakat recipients. These zakat recipients, of course, are al-fuqara wal-masakin, the poor and the needy. Fuqara, someone that has less than 50% of what they require to survive. Al-masakin, they have over 50% but less than everything. So they have some money. So a person has something in their possession, right? You don't just give zakat to someone who is absolutely destitute and zero and out on the street and has nothing. You don't want to get them to that point, but you want to save people from that situation, and the zakat is there to help do that. And then after that are those that work to distribute the zakat. They can receive zakat in order to survive, to take care of this job. Right? This can be a salary of sorts, which is paid from the zakat money. Giving zakat to those that need some encouragement, mu'allafatul qulub, which is to unite the hearts and draw people together. And also for the manumission of bondservants, that's the freeing of slaves. Those that are in deep debt they can't get out of. Those that are in the way of Allah, and those that have lost their way in a journey, or they are traveling and they've lost their resources and now they're kind of stuck and destitute. So those are the 8 categories of zakat recipients. Now when you're going to find any one of those 8 categories, there are types of people within each category that you should seek out to give your zakat. The first, he says, are those that possess at-taqwa, piety. They possess piety. And giving your zakat specifically to the pious, what it does is it returns their focus to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It returns their focus to Allah. Because when you are without the means you are required to live by, you can get distracted easily. You begin to focus on trying to gather up what is required to live. And so, by giving them zakat, you relieve them of that burden. And you allow them to focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was mentioned that Amr ibn Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he would seek out and select the worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while they were in prostration, while they were in sujood, to give his zakat. So he would go and look for those that were known for worship and a life of piety. And when they were prostrating, he would go up to them with a bundle. He would have his dananir and darahim, the gold and silver coins, wrapped in a bundle, and he would put it next to their sandals. Right? So typically you put the sandals right next to you. On the right or the left or between your legs, you put the sandals somewhere close to you. And he would come and he would put that little bundle of money next to them, and he would do it in a way that they could feel something had happened, but they weren't quite sure. So they knew, like, all right, once I finish praying, I need to check. So they just sit there. They did it in a way like that. He says, it was said to him, why don't you just send someone to deliver it for you? If you don't want to, be right there in front of them and go through that exchange, and we've talked about this previously, doing it in secret, why don't you just send someone and give it to them? And he says, I hate that, or I dislike that their face would change if they looked at my messenger, or if they looked at the delivery man, my delivery man, or if I were to meet them and I gave them the zakat, a person that fears Allah, he didn't want there to be any feelings or strange feelings of maybe embarrassment or rejection or something of that nature. So that's why he did it. So he did 2 things here. Number 1 is he did it secretly, as secret as possible, and then he did it by seeking out those of piety. Number 2 is knowledge. That you seek out those that are people of knowledge when they are in need. Whether they are students of knowledge or they are scholars themselves, if they are eligible for zakat, then you should focus on this type of person to give your zakat to. And the reason for that is because by giving them the zakat, or even in this case, sadaqah, right? You're talking about your obligatory spending with zakat. And if you were to give a charitable contribution, then sadaqah can be also, you can also use this quality to give your charitable contributions, because by doing so, you support knowledge. You support the spread of Islam, because it's the students of knowledge and the scholars that spread Islam. It's not the lay congregation. It's not the merchants. It's not the, people that failed in business. No, those aren't the people that spread Islam. The people that spread Islam and teach the message of Allah are those that have embarked upon a life of seeking knowledge. And this of course is a way in which you can strengthen the Sharia. You strengthen the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by supporting it financially by way of its champions. Number 3 is that you give it to those that recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that provides and blesses. They recognize that it is Allah that is the one that is the sole provider and the one that blesses them with things. And they don't unnecessarily look around for the means of how that blessing was obtained unnecessarily, right? So there is a level of gratitude which is preferred to be shown from a recipient, and we'll get into that in the next section here. But the person is not overindulgent in praising when they receive zakat. If someone were to give them the zakat, they don't start gassing them up and going all hard on praising them and just, if it wasn't for you and thank you and go and giving them the big show. A person like this that has a tendency to do this, it's an indication that when he doesn't receive, he will hold people accountable and blame them, and he will get ugly with them if they don't get. So then they'll turn it around on the other end of the spectrum. So you want to find those that are truly believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in His provision, and they are grateful to Allah first and foremost beyond all others in this world. Number 4 is that you find someone who tries to conceal their poverty, that does not complain about their difficulties. They try and conceal their needs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَحْسَبُهُمُ الْجَاهِلُ أَغْنِيَاءَ مِنَ التَّعَفُّفِ, that the ignorant person would assume them to be wealthy because of their restraint. They're actually in need, but they don't go advertising and complaining about their rough situation. They try and restrain that, and they take their complaints to Allah. And they try and put on a good presentation that things are okay and that they're satisfied with their lot even though they need. And this is the type of person that you want to look for, because this type or this quality is not found easily. The person that's always, the person that stands by the masjid door, the person that comes and asks and puts their hand out, you're going to find this person all the time, and guess what? More than likely they're getting here and they're getting down the road and they're getting further down and they're doing a little rounds. They're making their rounds and they're collecting their zakat, and they're finding some sufficiency in that, to the point that, wal-'iyadhu billah, could be abusive. However, that's the easiest way to go. But what you want is to look for those who, out of their level of reverence for Allah and their appreciation for whatever little they have, they try and restrain themselves from complaint. And so this requires you to actually dig deep, know your community. And that's the importance of congregational prayer. That's the importance of building brotherhood and sisterhood, is so that you can get to know people. You can begin to see some perhaps signs on people that they're going through difficult times. And then you can make some inquiries with others or family members or close relatives of them to find out, are they having a hard time? Are they in difficult straits or dire needs? And then you can help fulfill those needs. Number 5 is that they be a family man or family woman. They have family with them, children, and they're refrained or restrained from earning a living because of a sickness, or they're having a hard time getting out of debt. And so now it's not just one person that you're supporting, but you're supporting multiple people. You're supporting the head of household and then the dependents, whether that's the man or the woman. So you're helping them, and by helping them, they're helping others with your zakat money or your sadaqah. So this is a great quality to look for as well. And by you giving them this charity or this charitable contribution, you're able to sever their restraints. You're able to loosen those restraints of hardship and difficulty. The last one, number 6, and this is something was discussed yesterday, is that they are from your relatives, those that you are not obliged to spend on, of course, for zakat, and they be from either side, the fraternal or maternal side, your side or your wife's side. And by giving charity to this type of relative, then not only is it a charitable contribution, but it's also a manner in which you can join the family ties and keep things together. So if you're able to stack these things on top of each other, to find one person who is pious, that is a student of knowledge or a scholar, that sees that and acknowledges that it is Allah that bestows blessing upon people, that has tried to hide and conceal their difficulties and hardships, that has a family, and that is a relative, then you would have made a huge contribution. The impact of the little bit that you gave will be huge, right? And so if anyone is interested in trying to achieve this level of giving, then they need to see me. Because I'm aware of at least a couple of people that will meet 5 of these 6 criteria. If you're interested, you can see me, and I will help you direct your charitable contributions if need be. And they may be a relative, I have no idea. I haven't gotten to know all of you that well yet. Okay, so that concludes this section about how you give and who you should give to. The next is talking about the manners of the one that receives. Okay, so today we may be zakat givers. Tomorrow we may be zakat recipients. And as mentioned yesterday, virtue and quality is not by possession of money. And deficiency and lowliness is not by the absence of money. One day Allah gives, and one day Allah withholds. One day you have, and tomorrow it's gone. And that's just the way of this world. That's what it is. So to be a zakat recipient, obviously the hand that gives is better than the hand that receives, but there are times in life when this can be exactly what you need. This can be the relief that you need that can keep you on your feet and keep you guided and directed towards Allah and a life of piety and not a life of questionability and sin. Because when you find yourself in poverty, you do things you would not normally do. When you find yourself in dire straits, you may drift a bit spiritually, and then you may act criminally, believe it or not. There are many people that became involved in, they're like petty crimes, little theft here, little things like that, because of necessity. Or they felt like they had no other route or no other alternative. So the reality is your zakat payment or your sadaqah, your charity, it could be a cause to prevent someone from committing sin. It could be the cause to prevent someone from getting in trouble with the law or harming other people.